Welcome back to 33 Dreams of Indy. I'm your host, Robert Earl, and today I'm joined by David Malukas, Indy Lights driver for HMD Motorsports. David, how are you doing?
I'm doing good. How are you?
I'm doing fantastic. Not quite as good as you because you're coming off celebrating your 18th birthday. I saw you posting some things, being on the Magnificent Mile there in Chicago. How was the birthday celebration?
It was great. So it was like a 3-day weekend, and I celebrated with my sister first, and then went to my older sisters and my parents, and just had fun with everybody. My own little separate birthdays.
Family. What's it like living in Chicago?
Chicago's great. Well, I live with my family in the suburbs, and then my sister Gabriela, she lives in the city, so she's that downtown life. So I get like the best of both worlds. But it's a great city. Out of everywhere I've been in the U.S., this still feels like the best to me.
Understood. You drive the number 79 car. Is that a team number? Is that your number? Any significance to the number?
Actually, the number is mine personally. I started, when I was 7 years old and I started racing. 7 has always been my lucky number, and I started racing when I was 7. So when I first started, it was my number was 7, but then through time, I can't remember what it was, but it was something with 7, 9, and my mom, because she had some connection with the 7 and the 9 meaning success. So ever since I was like 10 years old, I had a 79 on my car.
Fantastic. The 79 car has never won the Indy 500, so you could be the first.
Exactly. Yeah.
Fantastic. I saw you list some interests: Jiu-Jitsu, mountain trail biking, boxing. Off season here now, are you getting back into some of those things, or you do that throughout the season?
Yeah, so I do Jiu-Jitsu and Muay Thai is what I do normally off season. I do a little bit on season, but it's quite hard to make the schedule, and I'm paying money and I don't really show up. So normally I take a break during the off season and just do something at home, with my dad. Maybe he can show me the ways, or we go on some bike ride. But now going into the off season, it's all about homework and getting back in shape for next season. So it's about time to get back to Jiu-Jitsu. It's going to suck though, because everybody's going to be a little bit more advanced again than me. So I have to try to catch up and learn all my moves.
It's always when that first day you step back in the gym after you've been off for a while, it feels like you got an anvil around your neck and your ankles and everything else to go through that.
Yeah, exactly.
What is it about jiu-jitsu that you enjoy, or your specific discipline within it?
I think, well, my dad kind of got me into it. I didn't really see much into it, but my dad, he always kind of liked that type of style, and he put me into there first before he went. And at first, I was just learning it for self-defense, just to know in the future. I don't know if something were to happen, but I ended up really enjoying it, and I started doing tournaments before racing got serious for me. I was actually doing tournaments in jiu-jitsu, and was winning and being successful there. So I was just having a really good time. And then one time, me and my dad were actually just in the basement, like messing around one day, and we got into like a little bit of a scrap going, and I ended up like beating him. So from that day on, he actually ended up joining jiu-jitsu. And ever since he joined, it was kind of been a battle between me and him, like who can learn the most moves and compete against each other. The thing is with jiu-jitsu, what I like is it doesn't matter what the size of the person is, how strong they are. It's all about mentally and technique, trying to defeat the person. So I think that's what makes it really interesting and fun.
And you're not one bit competitive, are you?
No.
So how'd you get into racing? Most kids say, I want to be in Little League, I want to be in soccer. How'd you get into racing?
So, I mean, as a kid, I didn't really feel like I was much of an outdoorsy person, because I grew up with 3 sisters. They would paint my nails, and, they would dress me up because I was the youngest out of them all. So I was never really outdoorsy. And then we were at a lake house one day, and we saw in like a newspaper that there was a go-kart track in South Bend, Indiana. So my dad took me there, and we just went, in a kid car. I had a little bit of fun, and it was really enjoyable. So we came the next day, came the week later, and then after a couple of weeks, this guy named Brent Ebert, he saw me and he said, I would like to help your son. I think he actually has like some natural talent. And he helped me and coached me to my first race that I went to, which was, I think, Florida Winter Tour.
Okay.
I sucked. It was really bad. I got lapped like 3 times, but I kept going a few more times. And next thing you know, I ended up winning races in go-karts. As soon as I won my first race, I think it was a WKA race, from there it kind of sparked, and we just started going on a roll, and then went to Europe and that's kind of how it exploded. It was just going, and it was more just, I'm doing this for fun. I'm doing this for fun. I don't see, anything in the future. And then I don't know, all of a sudden it was just like one day I was like, wow, okay. So I think, yeah, this is my whole past going this way. So everything moved to racing.
You had an oval podium at Worldwide Technology Raceway. It was fantastic to see. That was a great race that went on, the dicing that went back and forth. That was kind of a bounce back from Indianapolis, as I saw. Tell me about that. You also were awarded over the overall season the Hard Charger Award, but I think it showed the most at Worldwide Technology Raceway at Gateway. Would you agree?
Yeah, exactly. So going from Indianapolis, it was in my head. Normally, you're always told not to, to keep it with you, but it was really hard to shake that one off. It was like quite intense, and it would always replay in my head what happened there. And even before that, going in from Pro Mazda and USF2000, ovals have never been my thing. I was never really quick, and I was always in the back somewhere, and I couldn't really click with them. So going into Gateway, I was not gonna lie, I was like really like nervous because it was my first time going back to an oval. But when we did that test, because we did a test the week before, I did one session, and after that one session, I got comfortable, I clicked, and all of a sudden I just forgot all about it, and I just started plowing down. And that week was outstanding. For sure, out of the whole season, that was my favorite weekend because it first, gave that fear away from me and took off. It felt like almost like a curse, like going down on me because I couldn't stop thinking about it. So that was the number one reason. And now I love ovals now. So yeah, it was just an absolutely amazing weekend.
And people don't get the challenge of Worldwide Technology Raceway, the different grooves, the difference between turn 1 and 2, 3 and 4, the banking that's involved with it. The TV does not do any justice whatsoever for the banking. So to be able to come out and do that was quite a recovery.
Yeah, it was really good.
So 2018 finished fourth in your rookie year in Indy Pro 2000. Year before that, you were in the Cooper Tire USF2000. You've progressed up the ladder as it's gone on. As an overall, with some ups and downs, Hard Charger Award in 2019. Where would you rank yourself? And I know you drivers are always a little bit more self-critical on yourself. So what would you sum up 2019?
So from the start of 2019, Indy Lights, it's a big step, and we were going in on our own team. So our we didn't have high expectations, maybe a couple podiums, but our main goal from the start of the season, before any testing, any races, anything, was just to be, with the speed, to stay with teams like with Andretti and Juncos and Velarde.
Mm-hmm.
But we did the test in Homestead, and we did really well there. So our expectations kind of bumped up a little bit before the start of the season. And the start was, it was good. We had the ups and downs, but this year's just been a massive learning curve, like any year I've done so far. I've moved up really quickly. USF2000, I only did half a year. Mm-hmm. Pro Mazda, I did the 1 year. Now I've moved up to Indy Lights. So it's been a really quick, step up from each. And it's all just because it's all just a learning for me. So now this upcoming bit, I'm going to be staying in Indy Lights for next year. And I can use from what I learned from the past 3 years into next year. Because, for me, my mentality is I move up quicker and be with people who are older and more mature with their racing and their racecraft, mm-hmm. So I can learn from them and then put it into me and learn and go on for next year.
And at some point, there's a leveling out, not leveling out of your talent, but leveling out with yourself to be able to go back to the same tracks, to have that confidence that you're attacking St. Pete in the same car with the setups, with the adjustments that you were able to go through.
Yeah.
Fantastic. You listed Elon Musk as somebody that you would like to meet or talk with. If you could ask Elon Musk one question, what would it be?
That's really good. I would ask him what his plans are for Mars, I'd say, because me and my dad, we love him. So we like look up everything, but he doesn't really say anything about the plans of what they're going to really do when they get there and what's going to happen. And me being a little bit of like a space geek, it would be really interesting to see. But I love him. It was incredible. When we were in California for Laguna Seca, it was my first time there. and that's obviously where the Tesla HQ is. So we went down there just to go look around, and it was just amazing. Even though it was just a factory, me and my dad were just like, wow, this is amazing. So it was good fun.
A highlight of this summer, I got to see a Falcon Heavy 9 lift off from Cape Canaveral at 2:30 a.m. and then to watch the rocket boosters come back down, land, and then about 45 seconds later to get the sonic boom that came out of it. It was humbling, absolutely amazing. I think the one question I might ask him is, can I have a ride? And it wouldn't matter what he would give me a ride in, I'd be okay.
Yeah, that would be a good question.
To be able to go into that. You competed in Germany as well, right? Formula 4. Tell me about that experience, and if you go back to race over there, or what was that like?
So we, when I moved up from go-karts, I was still in Europe with go-karts, and the plan was that I would move up to open wheel cars in Europe, away from the US, because our main plan was to come to the US. So while I was learning, I wanted to go away from everybody. So we started in the UAE, in Dubai, and Abu Dhabi. We did that small series. And then from there, we went to Germany for Formula 4. It was tough over there. I really don't really know what was up, but like I said, it was a massive learning curve again. So that was my whole mentality. I was like, I'm just here learning. And I did learn a lot from racecraft and how the team worked and everything and how it was over there. But like I said, the main plan was to come back to the US. So we did, once, we came up with a plan to make the team here in the US, then it was kind of around halfway into the season where we started dropping the Germany and started coming over to the US and started USF2000 because things weren't really going good over there. But yeah, that was about it. It was just because nothing was really connecting over there. So, and I also was just missing home soil. It's the best.
Missing America, it sounds like, because Road America is where you got the success in USF 2000 and then a sweep of the race weekend. What is it about Road America, A, for yourself, and B, as a driver, that causes that sort of passion for you?
I don't know, that track, me and that track connect really well. But I think the main reason is because when I was really young, before I even did go-karts, my dad actually drove there in a Corvette, and he would race and have events there. So I think it maybe just be a family thing, because I've been there so many times and for such a long time. So every time I go back there, I don't know, I'm like, oh, I'm so ready. This is gonna be a really good weekend going into it every time. And even this year, we didn't really have much success, but it was still just a good time. Like, I just love the track. Like, it is an amazing track. So I don't know, probably just all the good times there.
Brings back those memories and gets you in that positive mood. So, driving up to the gates, you've got a leg up on it already.
Exactly.
Is that the track you're most looking to go back to in 2020, or is there another one that maybe is a surprise?
That would be the track that I'm looking forward to the most, would be Road America. But now new to the series would be Laguna Seca. That track is unbelievable. I really enjoyed it this weekend.
I've been asking other drivers why. What is it? Because from TV, you don't get the idea of the elevation changes. You don't get the idea of the, I've heard, carrying the speed through the corners or the technical nature. But what is it for you?
The track, like, every corner just feels different. Like, normally when you go to a normal track, it's roughly the same. Like, the whole outline of the track, it's okay. So there's, normal corners, but in the Laguna, it's just the elevation changes, the corkscrew, the corner going up to the corkscrew, turn 6. It's just, I don't know. The track is just so much fun. Like, going into it, I was just like, I remember I did the first lap. So I was like, oh my God, this is so much fun going. I was a little bit scared of the corkscrew, but once I did it once, I was like, oh, okay, it's not as bad as it looks, but it was good fun.
Fantastic. I like to give young drivers such as yourself an opportunity to give a shout out to sponsors, partners. You've mentioned your father and family. So go ahead and give a shout out to those that make the wheels go around.
Yeah, I mean, shout out to HMD Motorsports. It's been a big turnover since all the changes happened, and it's been for the good. So ever since the changes happened, I've just been, through the roof of excitement, and I'm looking forward towards next season. I don't really want to say all the other sponsors because it's still 50-50 right now for the next season, but we'll see. I'll let them know later.
Fantastic. I understood. And
Yeah.
I always like to insert in here, Cooper Tire and all of their work that they do, Anderson Promotions with that whole Road to Indy series that has been beneficial for you to be able to go into it. You touched upon next season, but let's talk about off season. Are you participating with Chris Griffiths? Is there seat time? Do you have an old go-kart out in the back or dad's old Corvette that you're going to dust off? And when you're not shoveling snow up there in Chicago, be able to drive?
Yeah, you actually pointed out a good couple of things. So with Chris Griffith's test right now, we're still deciding. It's still undecided at the moment, but we'll see. We'll know soon. But like you said, with the go-kart, I'm going to pull out my old go-kart. I haven't been in a go-kart for a while. Actually since Vegas, like 2 years ago. I remember how physical it was, and just to go back into something and just do laps and laps, for my weekends, I think would be good. But we're also going to have some, off-season seating time, maybe at Autobahn or down or yeah, I don't know. We'll see. I don't really want to say anything yet, but
No,
I don't want to
that's
say anything.
part of why I live in Florida is because I don't have to deal with the inclement weather, those types of things, and would be able to spend the time. So, and only a few days to get together for Chris Griffiths, but I'm sure that's as much of the road to Indy as figuring out the path as anything else. Dream with me for a little bit.
Okay.
You're sitting in the number 79 car.
Okay.
To start the Indianapolis 500. What would that be like?
That would be like insane. That's like one of those dreams that you have like every once in a while when you're like right before you go to bed, you're like, nah, it's not gonna happen. It's not gonna happen. But that would be amazing. Ever since I started, open wheel racing in Europe, that has been my dream. I started watching the IndyCar, and I've just been obsessed with it. Like every time there's a new race, I always like, or when we come back, from a racetrack, I always come back home and pop the video on and watch the races and look through it and everything, because there's so much to learn. But to be in there, it would, man, it would be a dream. Like even just walking through the paddock sometimes, like going through the IndyCar paddock, it's just like, man, this would be incredible.
So you've gotten to attend the Indy 500 before?
Say
The
again?
race, you've gotten to attend the race itself before?
Yes.
Fantastic. Yeah.
Yeah, they
Because
just walk around.
I've spoken to some on the road to Indy, and they have not even had that opportunity yet. So to be able to go through it, and they'll be overwhelmed just to attend, but then the thought process of actually getting to start in one would be fantastic.
Yeah.
Yep. It's very undescribable. David, I appreciate you taking the time out of your busy schedule, and as you're making plans for the upcoming season to talk with me. HMD was nothing but if I was talking about it as a stock, I would say buy, because it's going up through the roof, and look for some great things, especially as they expand the program to now be on all three steps of the ladder. And I think there'll be some crossover that will help the entire team that goes through that. So I appreciate you taking time, and I'll catch up with you towards, say, the holidays or the first part of the year, and see what's going on. And we're only just over 160 days away from cars hitting the track, my home track in St. Pete. So something to look forward to there.
Yeah, awesome. Thank you, Robert.
Appreciate it, David. Until next time, for all of you out there, you can subscribe on all of the major players and keep dreaming. Thanks, David. I appreciate it so much. Hope you enjoyed this video from 33 Dreams of Indy. It would mean the world to me if you would click subscribe so that you could be notified of any new videos that come along.